Yo, what's going on? This is the NRW or Nerds Rule the World. It's your boy, Kuya P, aka patrick.strange, the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Hala Hala homies in the Center gang of the ShoPowSho. Today, I'm super excited, y'all. We have an amazing threat. Like she's an actress, she's a model, she's a nurse, she's a comic book superhero, y'all. We're gonna get into all of that. I'm super excited. Shout out to Patricio Janelsa, my homie over at Lumpia with a Vengeance. We've been having all of those amazing folks on. And so today we're continuing on with that dopeness. But before we get into that interview, I got to give a shout out to the amazing Ates, Kataphorric, and Viva Valentina. We're doing this interview on a different date than they're normally available. So shout out to my homies. You know, they would want to be here. I know they would want to meet our amazing special guest today, but you know, it's crazy with our schedules. So shout out to the amazing Ates. Love y'all. Mahakita. Salamat. So here we go, y'all. You know, I'm gonna throw it to the trailer in case you're not familiar, which you should be familiar. Check out the trailer for Lumpia with a Vengeance, and I'm gonna come back with the superhero herself. Well, is she a superhero? Is she a supervillain? You're gonna find out in the comic book. I got Gemini, aka Katrina Dimaranan. Here we go. Check out the trailer right now for Lumpia with a Vengeance. Here we go.
Kamusta kababayan ko? All my sexy panoys and panais.
Welcome to Fogtown, where over 60% of the population is Filipino.
Can you confirm that the restaurant incident is the work of the so-called taquito man?
What? This is the taquito everyone is talking about? It's not a taquito.
It's lumpia, the Filipino egg roll. The motives of the lumpia man are still unknown.
Lumpia man knows we're selling out Fogtown High.
What I tell you about these kids? Love that, lumpia! And love that, lumpia!
Your sniper took down the mayor as planned.
My henchmen are trained to be 100% efficient.
Is that the egg roll man?
No, it ain't him.
Go! Hey, you can't eat that. Remember me? You're my hero.
Now's not the time to change the plan.
What plan?
What the?
Please tell me you're a good guy.
It's too Filipino.
It's like soy sauce and salsa getting married.
Armor together and harmony. Screw your mama's wedding. Fight the bully! You're all wrong! It's all because of this damn lumpia man.
It took this long for me to find you. I'm not about to lose you, baby. You can be sure I love you forever.
No more! Fogtown will remember me! Taquito Boy!
Boom, there you go. That was the trailer for Lumpia with a Vengeance. And as you see on the screen, my special guest today on ShoPowSho, Gemini herself, Katrina Dimaranan. Air horns are going off right now, Katrina. You don't hear it because I didn't want to deafen you. It'll all be in post. But all the love. Thank you so much for coming
everybody? Through. No, thank you so much for having me. I mean, your vibe and your energy is crazy. I love it.
Got to show love. Because our people deserve it. You know, Hollywood might not do our stories or tell our films, although it's on the move, it's changing. I'm going to give love to my people here. So all the love, Katrina. Yes. Much love and much blessings to you. So as I told you before we got started, this is all about giving love and light to our people that I love so much. I love you as our people. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get closer even more as I learn your story. So I'll know like, yeah, I love this person. This person's awesome. I got love as people. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk you through your story, and I can't thank you enough for sharing. So, but before we do that, you know, before I get all about the details about you, I love to give love and light to those that came before, those folks, those ancestors, those relatives that sacrificed for us to get here. So, can you tell me a little bit about your parents, where you come from, where they come from? Give some love and light to them.
Yeah, so my dad is from Lubang Island. Now that's in Occidental Mindoro. I don't know many people that are from there. I think I know maybe one other person who is not family related that I met actually just this year that's also from Occidental Mindoro. Because usually when they say they're from Mindoro, they say it's Oriental, that part, but we're in the Occidental part. So it's a small province. And, I remember when I was 7 years old and I was living there in the Philippines, I was a small kid running around the island. There was no electricity. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no airport. It was all by boat. And now fast forward to today, there's like a small, just like a small plain runway. It's not anything drastic or big. There's Wi-Fi now. There's electricity. So it's cool to see how far it's come. I haven't been there in a while though. And then my mom, we have family in Pangasinan and Pampanga. So it's a little scattered. But when I lived in the Philippines, we just lived in Manila, in San Juan, and in Quezon City.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
So, to stay on them a little bit, and I thank you for sharing like that input. And I'm actually saving a nugget for later to talk on that now that you've stated some of that. Did any of them from what you do now, do you pull anything from them? Were any of them like models? Because I'm sure beauty runs in the genes.
Oh, thank you. No, you know what? To be honest, no. My mom, I mean, she did so many things growing up, but it was not modeling. It was not anything in the limelight. My dad also was not in it. I think, how it came about was just so sudden out of nowhere. But I think that's also why my mom is just so proud of me, and my parents, my mom, my dad are just like, oh my God, you're like our pride and joy because we have a beauty queen in the family and all that, So I would have to be the first, I guess, that's in, the entertainment industry, my family. But I'm proud of that. And I'm just proud to make my parents proud and to make my hometown proud and my family proud. So, and it's always great that, I'm a morena because, I'm so proud of that.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So cool. So you were born in the Philippines?
Sorry. Yes, I was born in the Philippines in Manila. And then before I turned 1, actually, we flew back here to the States.
Okay.
So I grew up all over the Bay Area. I moved around literally almost every school year. But yeah, and then I went back to the Philippines. I believe I was like 6 to 7 years old, and then flew back here again. And then went back there after high school for about a year or so when I did Miss Philippines the first time. And then flew back here and then just went back there just this last July last year.
Oh, salute. That's a goal of mine. I've never been to the island.
You have to go. Oh my gosh.
I am working on it. I'm reaching out to Rosin. Shout out to Rosin Cobarubius with Mix Global and everything. I'm working on it. We're gonna make that happen.
Oh yeah. You have to. And
Definitely.
You know what? There's no more quarantine. So you're good, bro. I mean, you don't have to pay the money. You don't have to be wasting travel time and the waiting time in the quarantine. So I would go if I were you.
Definitely plan it. It's the bucket list item that I have to do before I die. So gonna make that happen. All right. So you've been doing all this traveling, but let's walk through your life and everything so far. So between 1 and 14, because from what I read, I did my homework on you a little bit. Before you got into modeling, I want to know about that time frame. So from between 1 and 14, what was it like? So you were going back and forth, like you said. I think you said at 6, you were going back to Philippines. Tell me about just growing up in the Bay, and so I guess the adjustment of that, because like you were saying, you didn't have Wi-Fi, you didn't have anything in the Philippines, but then you come to the States. Tell me how that was like on you as a kid, and maybe even your parents in all of that.
When I went to the Philippines back when I was 6, 7, 8, I went to a school there called St. Joseph and another school called Pinaglabanan. It was all in the city. But, honestly, I don't know why this is one of the first things that popped up, but I was bullied. Like you would think, you wouldn't, there's no bullying in the Philippines, but I was kind of bullied when I was in the 1st grade because I was tall. I was always the tallest one. And then also, my skin tone, I was always brown, and some girls didn't really like that about me. But I think I handled it well because my family was just such a close, tight-knit family that it didn't really bother me too much. Whenever I'd come home, I kind of just would just brush it off. But I just didn't like the fact that when I went to school, there was that weird like animosity between some of the girls and I. But there was a point where I didn't even really like my skin tone because to the point where I was like, oh, am I ugly? Like, am I not good enough? But one thing, my grandma, who has passed away already, she was always so protective of me. And do you remember, I don't know if you ever did this because you said it's been a while that you've been back or you've never been to the Philippines. Is that what you said? Yeah. So they use this rock, right? This like rock that you scrub your skin on.
Oh, we've talked about this. I've had Ruby.
Yeah.
I've had Ruby Ibarra on and Ella Bosco.
Okay,
We've
there
talked
you
about
go.
this. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay, well, that's something we have in common because, my Lola would just always be scrubbing my body when she give me a bath. And like, it would hurt sometimes, but like, it was just her way of, I guess, trying to protect me and of her being like, oh, let's try to get you lighter and using like papaya soap and, all that stuff because she just didn't want me to feel out of place. But, in a way during that time for me, it was just like, oh, so maybe I am not good enough. But I understood where she was coming from. So it wasn't like I thought anything badly of it. But yeah, it kind of like that there was, that time in my life where I just felt like I didn't accept who I was as a kid.
Yeah.
But, what's great is when I got back to the States, I was also bullied there, but it was all so funny. But it was only because I had a thought. I was living there between 6 and 8. So during that time as a child, that's when you really absorb things that you see around you, right? So for me, one of it was the Filipino accent. And I speak fluent Tagalog. I grew up here in the Bay Area or here in the States, but I speak fluent Tagalog and I'm so proud of that. But when I got back here to the States in the Bay Area, I acquired that Filipino accent. So I was bullied because of my accent. You know what I mean? Which is crazy because that was also one thing where I was just like, okay, now what? Now it's my accent. I'm in the States. Now it's my accent. It's not my skin tone, but it's my accent now. But I lost it within a year. And then I remember how old was I? I think it was like after high school. I was already doing a bunch of stuff, like modeling all these things. And then I remembered that I was at church. And that girl that bullied me was there. And I remember, I was already, because I was an ugly duckling, okay? I was not cute growing up. I really was not. I mean, you could see my baby picture. Even to this day, people say I look like Benjamin Button in my baby picture. It was all bad growing up. But anyways, it was a little bit kind of like a glow up, but not really. And so I saw her at church and I remember I was like, oh my God, like that's the girl that bullied me, like for my accent, like just for what? Because I have an accent, even though I was speaking perfect English.
Yeah.
And I remember she looked at me and I knew she realized who I was. And she kind of like looked up at me and you could tell that I could just tell in her eyes, it was just like, oh shit, like that's the girl that I was messing with, but it wasn't anything like no hard feelings or anything. I kind of just looked at her and it felt good for me because I could sense in her face that it was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But at that time I was already over it. And, when I moved back into the States, I was moving around like almost every school year. I was always the new girl.
Oh, wow.
Always the new girl because
I felt that
I would come in. Yeah. And you told me you moved around too, right? Because the military life.
That's how I felt it. Not as a girl.
Yeah.
but I felt
just that aspect. Yeah. And, it was like, it would always happen in the middle of the school year. So that even made it like way harder because kids already have their cliques. So I was always like either in the bathroom or like in the library or like in the classroom because, I was always just the odd one out. I was always like the new girl. And I take pride in that now because I was able to see and meet so many different people and environments from, all over the place. I lived like in NorCal, like Santa Rosa, all the way. I mean, for those who are familiar with the Bay Area, Santa Rosa is all the way up there. And it's all like mga puti, okay? Like it's all white people, just nothing there, all greenery, dry. Me and my brother were probably the only ones who were non-white, non-Caucasian. And then made my way down to the Bay. When we got to the Bay Area, I loved it because I just saw so much more diversity. And, it's crazy because now being brown, people from the States are like, oh, like, is that your real color? I love your color. Like, do you go tan? I'm like, nah, girl, like this all me, all this melanin, this all me. So, it was such a different change versus the Philippines, right? And even to this day, that whole, mentality of you need to be light skinned, it was kind of crazy because even when I went back to the Philippines at the age of 18 for Miss Philippines, I was, even then I was kind of bullied. But by then, I, was forced to mature at an early age because of stuff I went through with my brother and my family. So it didn't faze me. I don't get fazed by stuff like that when people just talk crap about you or just throw you under whatever it is. It doesn't faze me.
Yeah.
And but now when I went back there this year to compete for Miss Universe Philippines, it's crazy that the 180 flip, because I was just like, now everyone's like, oh, I love her color and this is mad. But you know what? To me, I'm like, great, because if I can pave the way for all the morenas out there and prove that, like, girl, guys, you can still be successful. And you should be proud of your skin color, honey. Like, you should be happy and walk in it with pride and joy, because our ancestors came like this. Okay. They came like this. They were never light skinned. So I think that's a thing that just needs to be eliminated, is that mentality of like, if you're light skinned, you're better, like that superiority of being light skinned. I have nothing against it, like some of my cousins are, but just, I think it needs to be shut down with the whole, when you're dark skinned, you're less than someone. So yeah, but now, for a while now, I've been so proud of it. I am such an ambassador of Morena. And I think a lot of like my fans and my audience love that fact about me, that I am just owning it. And I want people to know that and see that. And I get messages all the time of how, how me being so open about it and accepting about it helps them accept it because they've been bullied or they weren't comfortable in their own skin. So for me, that's like the biggest thing, right? Is if you can inspire other people through your journey, through what you believe in. So yeah, everything's been good. Everything, everything's been good. If I could touch one life, there you go. That's success to me.
Real talk. Yo, I am loving this energy right now. We discussed this, like I said, with Ella, Jay Bosco, and Ruby, and just we had the whole gold squad. We had Leslie, Alejandro on. Shout out to all of them. Just all. I love it. Yeah, because Gold was just such a great single to talk about this, right? And the music video that accompanied, how our culture, unfortunately has made us not love ourselves like that in that regard, and try to erase it away. So I'm so happy and honored that you shared that you had that experience. And I love your confidence now and the beauty that we can take now pride in that. So you know what, if there's a young girl out there right now, so did you have that same, because I love that you shared that and how that affected you, but you're super confident now, but were you that as confident back then when that was occurring, or you didn't really know? And if there's a kid out there that's listening to this, what would you say to them that's kind of like in between that?
You know what? For me, it's just own who you are. I mean, it's so easy to fit into this mold, but what's good is standing out, right? I mean, you only have one life, right? So live it to your full advantage. Live it to how you want to live it. Whatever makes you happy, girl, you are beautiful. Whether you're morena, whether you're mestiza, or anything in between that, like, you are beautiful. And it's not what color you are, the shade you are, how tall you are, how big you are, that makes you who you are, defines you. Age, all that does not define you. It's who you are as a person. It's your morals, right? It's how you treat people, how you treat yourself, how you look at life. Those are the things that make you beautiful. So beautiful is such a complex word. But for me personally, for all the girls and guys out there who feel that, you're shamed, don't be, own it. You are so beautiful and you are accomplished and you are not just enough, honey. You are more. than enough. All right. And I will talk to each person one by one if I had to, if it was affecting them that much, because I know how it feels like to feel out of place or not feel like you're enough just because of your skin tone, right? Or where you're from, or an accent that you may have. Like, own all of that, because that's what makes you unique and it's what makes you who you are. So yeah, that's what I have to say. The people who will love you will be there for you, and the people who don't, sayonara.
I love that.
Sorry
There
about
we
it.
go. There we go. That's a snapshot right there. Just put that out there. I really appreciate that. So yeah, like I was saying, so you were growing up experiencing that. And again, I'm in between the birth and 14 right now. So you're experiencing all this wildness. You know, as Filipinos, one of the questions, as you've seen previous episodes, is, you know, when did you realize you're Filipino? You know, we're growing up here, we're assimilating to this American culture. What was that like for you? You know, you were going back and forth, but then you're learning, hey, I'm Filipino, but there's also, my friends are eating cheeseburgers, and we don't exactly eat cheeseburgers at our house. We eat, you know, fish and rice. You know, what was that like in growing up? And then you were experiencing all that, you know, conversation about your color and this and the third, but to have like a cultural awareness and just that maturity that as we get to 14 in modeling.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I got here and then I went to school here, that's when I started seeing, you know, the American culture. And it was kind of like a shock to me, because like you said, it was like they're eating different food, or they're wearing different things, right? Like our one it's like rice and something else. Whereas all the other kids, like majority of the kids, are eating like chicken tenders, or, you know, whatever, maybe peanut butter sandwiches. I didn't really eat that, you know, until I was a little older. But I think because during the time from, like, I think it was elementary school up until the beginning of high school, whatever age that was, my brother and I were going through a lot. There were some dark times that we were going through with our family that was causing us to move around a lot. So the aspect of seeing other kids, you know, eating different things or looking or acting a certain way was not as big to me as to what we were actually going through as a family, you know? So I guess I was able to put that to the side. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? Even as a kid, I was just like, we're going through this. So it didn't really affect me in that way. Like, why am I not eating that? Why am I not, you know, it wasn't ever really like that. Because for me, my focus was like, dang, like, what are we going to do? Like with this certain situation, like, how are we going to survive this? Or where are we going to stay? Or what are we going to eat tonight? Things like that was more my focus growing up. It wasn't really until high school where I was able to really, you know, figure out who I was as a person, like, oh, friends and friend groups and boyfriends and all this stuff. But yeah, before high school, it was more so figuring out how to survive with my family.
Yeah.
And my cousins who were here, who my brother and I also lived with for a little bit during that time, they were pretty Americanized already. They're still very Filipino, but just more so Americanized than my brother and I were. So that's where we kind of got integrated into that Americanized culture, you know, and how everything is. So it was a smooth transition. It wasn't really too drastic or anything like that. But yeah, before high school, it really didn't dawn on me to compare myself to how the other kids were because of everything else that I was going through.
Got you. But because, so with the hate that you were getting, that I'm assuming, where was that hate coming from? Like in the dark, you know, in regards to like skin color and all that? Because sometimes it'd be like our own people, right? In which, you know, again, like you said, your grandmother. Yeah. So to a degree, did you have that self-pride at that time, or did you, because this has been a very deep-rooted topic on the show, is the self-hate towards our own, and only through ShoPowSho and like other people when we've had, it's been like therapy sessions on ShoPowSho, because like we love our people, but our people put us through stuff, these aunties and uncles out here, right?
No, so, I agree. Like all the titas, you know, I remember they'd be like, oh, parang umitim ka, but parang ano, mas lalo kang umitim, right? It was always that growing up. It was always, but parang intim mo, magpaputi ka nga, or ano, Jane's my family game. Jayne, magpapaya ka nga, you know, like things like that. And yeah, it did affect me a little bit, but what's great was that, again, there was just other things also at the same time that were just a lot worse. It would affect me. Don't get me wrong, it would. But because of me having to mature at such a young age because of what I went through, I was able to kind of look past that because I knew that my aunts and my titas and my titos love me. I knew that they care about me. It's just, especially because they're old fashioned and they still have that in their mind. And, you know, it's hard to change how they think and how they perceive things because they went through all of that stuff in a different time than we did.
Very true.
That's what they were used to. Yeah. So I feel like that's what it is. So I never really took it too hard. And also, what's good was that I was kind of already, you know, during high school, I can sing, and obviously, right, because they're Filipino. I mean, come on, who can't? But, you know, there were a lot of things, little accomplishments that I was doing at such a young age that I think also balanced it. So even though sometimes they're like, Jayne, parang ang itim mo, like, wag kang magpaaraw, or, you know, magpaputi ka nga, ganyan, you know, whatever. At the same time, they'd be like, oh, Jayne, we're so proud of you, ang galing-galing mo, and this and that. So, you know, when it's from your family, yes, it kind of hurts, but you're a family, especially Filipinos, we're so tight-knit that at the end of the day, you can see past that. Maybe for me, at least. But when it's from other people who don't know you or who don't want to get to know you and they're saying those things, that's a whole other story, right? It's just like, okay, now that's just kind of racist, and it's just all these things that come with it. But with my family, it hurt, but at the same time, it was all love. You know, it's like you want to understand them a little bit because you can't really change their mind on certain things, especially when they're from a whole ass different generation, right? Yeah, so I get it. But yeah, I think when it came to my family, I did get a lot of that hate, you know, but at the same time, I knew they were proud of me. So it was anything to where I despised them or anything like that. And I mean, now, you know, especially when I was competing for Miss Universe Philippines and they saw how my color was such an advantage now, you know, everyone's like, oh, like, you're so tan, you're so beautiful, like, look, you stand out compared to everyone, you're glowing, your skin is so nice, and this is and that. So, you know, whatever it is, I feel like if you know who you are inside, like yourself, and you have that self-confidence, you wouldn't let those kinds of things really affect you as much anymore, you know. And it took me a while, but I learned to be more confident in myself, I think, at an earlier age than most people. So I'm very proud of that. So with that said, it's hard for me to sort of get affected from like early childhood to now. I would say maybe a little bit before high school all throughout up to now. I just did not get affected by shit talking or any of that stuff.
There we go. So
now I want to be, you know, like an advocate, ambassador for people who still make that an issue, because I went through it and I go through it, but you know, there's a way to handle it. So yeah.
Exactly. I love it. No, you are definitely an ambassador, and for being so open to share this, because it's so important. Because you know, sometimes they put us on these pedestals, right? That, oh, they ain't never been through it. But nah, we've gone through it. And that's why I can effectively talk about it, because I've been there, done that. So no, I think it's beautiful. And to be open to share that is so important. So thank you for putting that energy in here right now. So let's get into hobbies and get into this modeling thing that then kicks up into everything else. What were you into and before like the modeling? Like what would your parents tell me about and or your brother tell me about a young Katrina?
A young Katrina? Let's see. I always loved to sing. I was always, my mom told me the first time she ever heard me sing, she said I was like three or four. And you know, obviously everyone knows this karaoke song because all the people sing it. Impossible Dream, right?
Hey!
Right. So there's the words on the screen, there's a mic, whatever karaoke my mom said. And I just found this out like last year. The first time she ever heard me sing was like, she was surprised because she heard someone reading and singing to that song. She turned out it was me. So little old Trina was over grabbing the mic at 3, 4 years old, reading. I didn't even know I could read that early, right? So I was reading and singing The Impossible Dream. And she was like, oh my God, anak, you can sing. Oh my God, things like that. So it's always karaoke and singing. My whole family, every family party was always like, Jayne, you have to sing, you have to sing. And then here's $5. And then I would sing, or I try to hide because they always try to get me to sing. And then in high school, I was actually part of musicals. People think I would be an athlete. People think I'd be an athlete because of my height. I tried basketball.
Yeah.
Tried basketball in the 6th grade, got on the team, and I remember first day we had to do suicides. You know what suicides are, right?
Oh, yes.
Go back, and then I quit. I quit after that day, and then I found my calling doing musicals in high school. So I was never an athlete, but it was more so musicals. And then I got into modeling in high school. But yeah, I was more of like musical singing and just hanging out with my family, honestly.
I love it. I was a singer too. I was in church choir. I had a little boys quartet.
Okay.
So yeah,
were you a tenor or
I was a tenor. I was a tenor. All county. I was in everything. We had, and I'm a 90s baby, so it was like Boyz II Men, Shy, Silk, Jodeci, High Five, Portrait.
So you were singing with feeling.
Oh, hell yes. I
looking
love
out the window, just
right. Okay, so singing was a passion. I love that. And then how did modeling come into the picture?
Modeling, I mean, obviously I'm tall, so I kind of just got discovered, did my first fashion show because my mom is the sweetest. She's the youngest of 7 siblings. So she's the one that's like the babied one with like a big heart. She's like the life of the party at any party we go to. And she's such a momager at the same time because she's just so proud, with everything we've gone through growing up. And then she's seeing me doing all these things. So I know she's just being a proud mom. But at the time, I was just like, I don't want to do it. She's like, come on, do it for the family. It was always like, do it for the family, do it for me.
Wow.
So for me, it was like, okay, it's for the family, right? So that's how modeling started. And then I actually ended up just enjoying it. It was more so runway modeling.
Yeah, I
liked it because you just walked, and like the adrenaline rush you get when you get on that stage is just so crazy. Like I love feeling adrenaline. I am such an adrenaline junkie. That's something that maybe some people don't know about me, but I love horror movies. I've done shark cage diving. I've played with tigers, all that stuff. Like I love it. But anyways, yeah. So that's where the modeling thing began. It was, someone just found me. My mom was like, just do it. Like, just do it for us. And then I did it. Actually ended up liking it. So then the more, shows that I would do in high school. But it wasn't until after high school where my mom and my family was like, before you start college, why don't you go to the Philippines, take care of your grandma for a little bit. So I was like, okay. So I went to the Philippines, and at the time I still want to do modeling. So I would go to different modeling agencies. Well, I did it for one day. I went to different modeling agencies. And it was one of the top modeling agencies in the Philippines. They're just like, oh my gosh, like, don't do modeling, do Binibining Pilipinas, which is like the Miss Philippines. And I was like, what's that? And they're like, you don't know what it is. And then I was just like, no, like, what is that? And then they're like, just go to this address. Like, did it, whatever. And then I called my mom that night. Ma, ano daw yung Binibining Pilipinas? And she's like, oh my God, anak, gawin mo yun. It's alam mo yung Miss Universe, yun, mga beauty queens, blah, blah, whatever. And I was like, what? Like, I don't want to do that. Because for me, I always thought beauty queens were, like they were just all about glamour and the glitz and very superficial, no personality, whatever. And I was like, yeah, the stereotypes, and I was like, that's not me. Like, I don't want to do that. And then she's like, come on, do it for the family. There it is again. And I was just like, okay, fine. So I did it. But then again, I fell in love because all of these women are not at all what I had thought. These are accomplished women. I was 18 at the time. There were lawyers and doctors and nurses and teachers and all these like crazy accomplished women who are just also so nice. And, were just willing to be there for me as like a sister. And I was like, oh my God, there's more to being a beauty queen than I thought. And then I fell in love with that aspect of, being able to be given a platform to talk about things you care about. So that was one thing that I really loved about beauty pageants and why it became such a big part of my life. Because that was literally a decade ago. I'm 28 now. It was 10 years ago when all that happened. And I didn't think by being a beauty queen, I mean, it sounds cliche, but you are able to inspire so many people through my story. I had to talk about my story. I think it was like on ABS-CBN or something.
Yeah.
And after that aired, I got so many messages of people just being like, oh my God, like you're inspiring me to do better, or to know that there's something at the end of the tunnel, and to know that, I may be going through some stuff. And it was not just girls, it was guys, and even like mga lola, mga tita, mga bata. Like I was getting random messages because I was about to quit because it was so draining physically, and I was 18. And my mom was like, maybe it's not for you kasi kung napapagod ka, hindi mo na-enjoy, wag mo nang ituloy. But then, when that episode aired and I got all those messages, I was so surprised because I used to be kind of embarrassed if I talked about my past because of, things I went through was so dark. Yeah. But then I was like, oh my God, by me just sharing a glimpse of what I went through, people were like, wow, like I can be okay. Like I could do better. There is something out there for me. And then that's what fueled me to continue the pageant. I was the youngest in that batch. It was my first time ever. A lot of the girls have been doing it for like 2 years, 3 years. And I continued it because of those people, because I honestly did not think that I would get those messages like that. And then I ended up winning one of the titles at my first time at 18. Yeah. So, and then from there, I was like, okay, now this is really cool, because now people are not only seeing that I can tell my story and not be ashamed of it. Now they're seeing that this girl who went through this and fast forward to now was able to win a title. Then I really feel like I lit up something in other people to follow what they want to do, follow their heart, follow their dreams, follow their goals. And then from winning that title, I was then exposed to doing a lot more charity work. I did a little bit in high school, but when we won, we were able to build homes for, like more areas in the Philippines that really needed it. Yeah. We're able to, visit people in hospitals, be part and hands-on with different organizations. That was also something that just like fueled this fire in me of like why I was like, you know what, it's really cool to be a beauty queen, because, there's so much more to it than what I originally had thought. And then fast forward to now, and I think that's why even 10 years later, I gave it my last shot when I competed this last November, I believe, or October, November. But yeah, everything just kind of just spirals into one thing and leads to another. And then from there, I've always been the type to just pick things and learn from it and then apply it to like the next part of my life. Yeah. So yeah, I've been very blessed, regardless of everything that I've gone through. I am so grateful for all of that. And I just feel very, very grateful and thankful and blessed for all the opportunities that I've been given.
I love it. And we're going to talk about those other opportunities in just a second. I love that. Yo, amazing. Giving back. It's beautiful. So you had mentioned, though, your mom was a momager a little bit, and you had a little bit of love-hate at the beginning until you fell into to really appreciating it, and then seeing that the opportunity it provided with everything else that you said is just beautiful. But what I'm kind of curious on is, so like this happened during like those high school years, right? And at that time, that's when we're becoming an adult, where we're finding out what we want to do for ourselves. So what did Katrina want to do, like when you're getting ready to graduate? But then, there's this pressure to go to the Philippines to take care of family, which is, family first a lot. And we know
common,
that,
right.
I think we know that very deeply as Filipinos, right? But at the same time, we do have our own goals. And so, can you maybe share what was like your dream and aspiration at that moment before, and does it match to now? Like, I'm very curious. Until like modeling and beauty pageants became the thing.
Before that, right.
At that time.
I really appreciate you asking me that. I've done so many interviews, and I was a TV host myself. I have never been asked, that time from like high school, right before I went to the Philippines, like what was the original plan? I got accepted into a few schools like SF State and stuff because I wanted to do psychology. Psychology was something that I really wanted to do because I genuinely like to listen to people and converse with people.
That's me.
Like you, yeah. You know, like I like it. I enjoy like hearing people's stories. I really do, and also because I was always a new girl, as you know, just like yourself. I knew how it felt to sort of be left out. So I think as I grew older, I didn't want anyone to feel that way. And I think that's also why, like, you know, my friends were having issues with my family, like, I would be the one that they would talk to. I would be sort of like the mediator. And then, yeah, it was, I wanted to be a psychologist. That's really what it was. Awesome. It was that. So you're asking now, did it sort of relate to where I'm at now? Yeah. In a way, yeah, right? Because I wanted to become a psychologist because I wanted to hear people's stories. I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to know and learn more about them. And I think where I'm at now, where one, as a TV host, that's what I do, right? I share people's stories. And then as a beauty queen, I'm also here to relate to you and help you out and inspire you in whatever way I can. Now, maybe it's not through a doctorate, you know, being a psychologist, but it's in a whole other way. And I think it's just by me sharing my stories and sharing my life and being so open and vocal about things that maybe some people, you know, don't want to share. But then by hearing my story, it helps them whether go through something or help them, you know, just maybe put a smile on their face. I don't know. But I think in a way it does kind of correlate with each other.
Definitely.
With what I wanted, just not in the way that I had thought.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I love that we're talking about this because yes, I had my own aspirations as a young kid. I wanted to be an artist and an actor. I eventually found my way back to it because I went into the military after high school. But what's meant to be will be, and it'll adjust. And I'm sure for you, as you see by your own story now, like you wanted to become a psychologist, you know, but then maybe it wasn't right. And now the platform that you have that I'm sure you're well aware of as a beauty queen, as a host, that psychology is now interplaying with that. And now you have even deeper reach, bigger reach, which is so beautiful.
I didn't even really think about that until you asked that. So kudos to you, bro.
All the love.
That's crazy. Like how everything just kind of circles back to it.
Yes, it's going to happen. Yeah. Might not be good at that moment, but it's going to happen if it's meant for you. So
a reach.
There we go. So let's get into hosting, because that kind of grew out of modeling, right? And beauty pageants. And you were on a show. Where was the name of the show?
Adobo.
Yeah. What was it called?
Adobo Nation.
Adobo Nation. Yes. Adobo Nation.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Filipino
foods.
Channel.
Great title. How did that start? And what was that like transitioning? Were you, I'm assuming you had the confidence because you have to go up on a stage and you have to talk about yourself. Was that an easy transition though, to go from beauty pageants to hosting?
Well, when I did beauty pageants, I was 18. So the hosting happened after that. So public speaking and stuff, that I was already in me because of the pageants, I feel like. So I was very confident in communication and, you know, being in front of a camera. But I auditioned. I saw that the Filipino channel was having an audition for hosts. So I just thought, I mean, why not? This was 2013 or 14. Oh, okay. So it was Binibining Pilipinas 2012 that I had won in. And then I flew back here in 2013. And then I believe it was 2013 or 2014. So it was a little bit right after, now that I think of it, where I auditioned for the Filipino channel. And then I got the job, and then, you know, I became TV host. So the transition was really easy just because it was straight from it. And then, you know, like I said, I like talking. As you can see, I'm probably talking your ear off a little too much.
Oh, hell no. You and I would get along very well.
You know, like be like Trina, you need a mic, like, you know, that sign with the like, wrap it up. Just let me know. But yeah, it came pretty easily and smooth sailing from being a beauty queen to TV hosting. Yeah.
I love it.
And I love the title of the show because at the end of the show, we always ate. We always featured a Filipino restaurant or a Filipino chef or anything that was food related.
Oh, right. As you see from the beginning, when I open up the show, I am a foodie. And so a dobro, babinka boy, the holla homies.
In a gang.
I'm working on shirts, y'all. Merch to come.
Oh, I need it.
Oh, I got you then. You're definitely going to get it. So,
yeah. There was this small business in the Philippines that like sent me the shirt. And then, I was like, yeah, I got you. I'll post it, whatever. And it's so cute. I still have it too. It's different Pika Pika foods, like different like photos of it. So there was like the hot dog, the Adidas, like the liver, everything was just all over. And I loved wearing it.
That's awesome. I love it. So now that you're in modeling and then you're hosting and you have this amazing gig, now, as we said earlier, like you're transitioning, you would be going back and forth. You're confident in yourself. What did it mean to you now? And like you said, you wanted to become a psychologist and have that reach to talk to people. You have now this amazing access and you can travel back and forth. I think you won, one of your titles was Philippine tourism, right? And you can go back and forth representing us as a people in the culture. What did that mean for you? And how did that open up your eyes to the world as a growing, because you're still a young kid, you're like 18, right? You're becoming an adult and now you're there, right? Talk to me about that journey.
You know what? Like all of this stuff, I mean, the backbone in my life is my family, honestly. I mean, I would not be where I am without my family, without my mom, my dad, my brothers, my cousins, all of them. They're really what pushed me to become the greater me, right? And for me, being the chance to represent the Philippines and, not just as a Filipino woman, but as a Filipino Morena woman, I feel like that already in itself speaks volumes, right? Because, for example, when I did another pageant, I represented USA internationally. This time it was in Poland. And that was such a proud moment for me because I not only represented USA, I'm a Filipino woman representing the entire country of USA, not as a blonde, blue-eyed, you know what I mean? So I was standing on that stage representing for all Filipinos who, have came to the US, who wanted a better life, who was here, whether as an OFW or as, just trying to start a new life altogether for their families, for themselves, for their future kids. Those are the people that I was really doing it for. Those are the people where I was like, I want you to see me and be like, dang, like she's Filipino representing the whole country. And, like she's proud of it. Like that's what I wanted to hit. I wanted to show to the world that Filipinos, like, we are accomplished, baby. Like we are on the map. I was trying to put us on the map. I was trying to make sure like we're trying to be seen and we are going to be seen. For who we are and like what we do and the love of the family that we have for each other and all that stuff. So for me, it meant so much and it means so much because that's still what I'm aspiring to today is to represent. And, as a Filipino woman, wherever I am in the world, that's what I carry as being Filipina. I could be in the Bay Area. I could be in the Philippines. I could be in Poland where I was, or Fiji when I did that show for CBS. Even then, I represented myself as a Filipino woman, okay? And I was proud of that because even that show that I did, I was the only Filipino there. I was the first Filipino on the show. So that these little things that I'm doing, these well, I don't want to say little, but these accomplishments that I've had in my life, it all goes back to me wanting to accomplish it as a Filipino. Really? Being like, we're Filipino, we're strong, we're here. All right, we're not going nowhere.
Hell yeah.
So for me, it means everything. It means the world. That's what I aspire to do. So yeah.
I love it. Let's go. I love it. So you're so, man, you're hitting everything on the head because that, as a Filipino American, just living in the States and just, when I watch pageants as a viewer, like, we pull for our home country, our people. And I've seen you on there and it's just, yes. And then, you brought up Love Island, which is kind of you didn't mention it, but it was Love Island, right? Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. So when you see that representation, that means so much. And then you just, because generally if it's just the same old, I hate white people again. Like when you hear, there's a Filipino, okay, you gravitate towards it because it's that representation. Because it matters so much. What was that experience like in crazy living in those times and being on a reality show?
It was definitely something very different for me. But also I wanted to do it to, I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone and just do something. And, I'm going to be very honest. There was a prize, cash money at the end, which, I was trying to win my family. But it required me to sort of be someone who I wasn't. So I actually left the show on my own terms just because I just didn't feel comfortable anymore. And like I said, when I do anything in my life, I represent not only myself and my family, but the Filipino people. So when I started to feel like it wasn't really for me anymore, I left the show myself just because I was like, you know what, like, although the money would have been good, I just don't think it's worth it. And I think more people respected me for that than trying to portray someone I'm not and win it, right?
Exactly.
But I'm very thankful for that because I met a lot of great people on that show that, I still talk to now. And just the exposure that also it gave me from that show, which I really didn't think. And also, again, getting messages from other Filipinos who are like, oh my God, like someone like me is on a freaking national TV show. And it was on 5 days a week. Like we were being filmed 24 hours a day. That was more, I think we were on more times during the week than American Idol. Like that's how public it was.
Yeah.
And to get messages again. And this time it was cool because I would get messages also from moms who are like, I want my daughter, you portrayed yourself and the Filipino woman so well on the show that I want my daughter to be like you. Those are the messages, again, that from others where I know, okay, I did my part. In representing our people, right? But it was also cool because I also got messages from people who weren't Filipino, but are also considered minority, maybe, like other Asian countries where they're just like, damn, like I'm so glad they put someone there that's just not white.
Right.
Like you're really representing a lot of other cultures and a lot of ethnicities because you're showing that there's diversity out there. So that was something pretty cool too. So ultimately, like I said, I always try to find something good out of anything that I do. So even though I didn't win or I walked out of the show, there was a lot more greater things that came from being a part of it. So yeah, it was really fun. But I think one thing I can say is that reality TV shows, like you really have to have guts for it, and like you need to be strong and firm on your feet because like everyone's gonna be seeing you and they're gonna be seeing the real side of you. So you gotta be able to handle all that comes with it.
No, real talk.
Yeah, very, very grateful for it.
Definitely. No, real talk. And I applaud you immensely for, you know who you are, you know what you wanted. And then when it didn't feel right, I'm out. Like, peace. Like, real talk. You got to protect yourself because ain't no one going to protect yourself like you're going to protect yourself. And so this is no shade to all these other cats that are out there because I have a lot of friends that are also reality stars and in different, what's meant for you, you do, you know what I'm saying? You do you. But if I'm gonna do me, I'm gonna do me how I want to do me. And if I don't like how I'm feeling right there, I applaud you on that. So again, these are nuggets, people. We're giving you wisdom right now. That's why you watch ShoPowSho. So no, I applaud that. That's beautiful. And again, thank you for sharing that because it's so important. Again, people like take certain situations and there are people that are like looking at YouTube stuff and maybe watching certain stuff like this. Oh, why didn't he talk about this? Is because, this is the most important aspect of it. So there we go, Katrina.
I love that. Yeah. And thank you for giving me this platform to be able to talk about things like this. I honestly didn't think it was going to get this like deep, but
I've been called the Filipino Barbara Walters. So
love it. All good.
Definitely. So now there's something really dope that's dropping. As of this recording, it'll be out there. Gemini. But before we get to Gemini, I want to get to how Gemini started with you now going from hosting to acting. But you did another film before. I know Lumpia with a Vengeance came about. I think you're in a mockumentary film called The Studio. Just tell me now transitioning to acting and then moving forward from that into then working with Lumpia with a Vengeance and my buddy Patricia Janelsa.
Oh, okay. Well, this so funny. It's been so long since The Studio. I love how you do your research. The Studio was actually just, I think it was like on this casting site or Craigslist, something like that. And then like they're looking for a foreign girl to play this part. And like I've never really done acting aside from when I did musicals. And it was just a short, kind of like a short skit-ish, like an episode. It wasn't anything even remotely close to Lumpia, but it did give me that start. That was really fun. I think that project right there kind of opened my eyes to like, the whole reading lines and kind of just the basis of acting. met some incredible people during that too. Um, but yeah, that was something a little small where I think if anything, it helped me connect with other people, with other actors. Like I found out more about, the union and, more like the technicalities of acting and stuff. But yeah, it was more so when I did Lumpia that the whole acting thing began. I can't remember if this was, okay, no, this was after Lumpia when I did a BET show just as I played this role for an episode for the BET show, The Family Business. But I think that was after Lumpia. Yeah, that was way after Lumpia. So really, Lumpia was the one that jump started the whole acting part of my life, which I am forever grateful to Pat and Lawrence and everyone else on the team that believed in me because I was so new to it. Like, yeah, I've done all these things, but acting was just like, what? Like, I didn't think they were going to cast me at all, to be honest.
Wow. So what was that like?
And I don't know if
learning lines and performing, and you're like you're quote unquote a villain. What was that like?
Yeah. It was crazy because, people see me, I was like, oh, she's a beauty queen and all this. And that's why I get to play this badass of a woman who, she was bad. She was really bad. I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you watch the film, you'll see why Gemini is such a villain in a high school and why it's such a twist, right? But for me, I think the traits I loved about Gemini that I can relate with was her confidence and her knowing exactly what she wanted. Now, maybe what I wanted was not the same as what she wanted, okay, according to the film, but the confidence that she had in her is just superb. Like she could walk in a room, literally everyone was just like, oh shoot, Gemini's here. Like her character was just like so badass. And for me, like, I felt like it was easy to get into that role because when I think of acting, I always say like, I want to play like an action star. I want to do my own stunts. I want to be like a badass chick. So being that part was actually really cool. But more importantly, the villain, although she's not the hero, she's still, there's antagonists, right? And that was me. So with that said, it's very cool that a part like that is played by a Filipino woman. Yes. Right. And again, I'm gonna keep repeating this, not just the Filipino women, but Morena Filipino women. Because when you look at mainstream media right now, you are seeing, you may see some Asians, Filipinos on screen, but majority they're either mixed, right? Or they're light skinned. I've yet to really see Filipina Morena in Hollywood that's playing big parts, whether it be a villain or the hero. Not yet, at least. I mean, shout out to Bridgerton right now that I just started season 2, where, the main princess is an Indian woman of my skin tone. Like when I watch it, I've been watching my boyfriend like last night, the other night, and I was just like, this is so cool. Like, hell yeah. Like, this is so dope, So getting the chance to play a main character in a film alongside other amazing actors and actresses as a Filipino Morena woman, it's just like, wow, like this is a whole other level of what I've done, I feel like, and again, it just gives me another platform to share and remind people to be proud of who they are and where they've come from and what they look like. So for me, it was more than just being an actress in a film. Again, like I always repeat, I try when I do something, I want to do it for our people. So for me, it's like, okay, I need to do this right. Like, yeah, she's like the villain, but I want to play her right. And I want to represent like my Filipino people, and have people see that like, you know what, we're talented and we got this and we deserve to be in Hollywood and in bigger screens. Right. So yeah, it was really fun. And actually, I don't know if April told you this, we went to the same high school. And I remember, we went to the same high school in Fremont called American High School. And I remember I was walking into the audition, she was walking out, and we kind of just looked at each other because I think we're both, and it was funny because later on we talked about it, but we both agreed that like when we saw each other, we were just like, wait, doesn't she go to my high school? Because she was a few years older than I was. And I was like, and I had the same thoughts. Yeah. And then to be like, wow, we're both in this film, and she's the main hero, the main action star, right? Aside from Kuya, and I'm the villain, and we're both from the Bay, we both went to the same high school, we're both Morena, like we're both trying to just represent our people in everything that we do. Shout out to April. Like, it was such a crazy feeling. I mean, look at her playing in
Blind Spotting.
What's the show? And Stars. Yeah, Blind Spotting, right?
Yep.
And come on, that's filmed in the Bay also.
Right.
And our Oakland people, and she's in it, she's representing us, and then they just got renewed and she's part of their, I think she's filming right now. That is just insane to me. Like, I bow down to her because we're just another, I don't want to say pawn, but we're just, what's the word? We're just ambassadors, I guess, of our people, and trying to put us on the map, I guess. So I always message her of like how proud I am of her, because I'm sure she has also gone through so much, in her life, and to see where she is now is just a motivation, and is just, I want that to remind and inspire people that there's other things out there, that just because you had a bumpy past don't mean you can't have a spotless future, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, this role is incredible. I love it. And Pat is amazing.
Yo, that's so crazy. She might have touched upon that, but I don't recall it now. And what I recall about the interviews, because she shared, we got real deep. Shout out to April. Love you for opening your heart and your soul. Because you're right. No matter what you go through, that doesn't define you, and your journey is still your journey. You're still on your journey. Mm-hmm. And I remember her sharing just how deep her journey was, and all the love and all the support to her. And that's crazy that we got into that, because my next conversation is like, so you're kind of still somewhat brand new to acting, and you're in this large role on Lumpia. Here's April Absinthe over here, who's like, the star. What was that collaboration like? And now my mind is blown, because again, I did not realize that y'all went to high school together. Like, talking, communication, like, because she's already kind of a seasoned actor. What tips did she maybe give you, and how was that being on set working with her?
Yeah. You know what? I felt like we were such a family on set. There was never like, even though some people were more seasoned, even though maybe it was someone's like first day, or maybe they just wanted to learn more about the film, so they were an extra. Everyone, no matter what your role was, in crew, cast, whatever, it was such a family. It was such a big family. And with April, because she also did musicals. She also did musicals in high school, and she was always the lead in musicals, and that's why I knew her too, because I'm sure she has a band, she sings too, which it's, my gosh, she's such a badass. Things I learned from April was like also just how to be confident in front of the camera when delivering lines, because it's so different being a TV host and delivering lines versus portraying another person and delivering lines, because you can't really act like yourself, especially not my character, because in a way she's kind of the opposite of me, right? I'm just so outgoing and out there. I'm always laughing all the time. On set, I was always joking around with April and Mark and all them. I was always just trying to make people laugh. And then when I would like be on scene, I had to like be quick with it and switch into like, okay, Gemini, she's serious, she's pissed, right? She's out to get everybody. And so with her, when I watch her do her scenes, I just am like, wow, like, how does she get into characters so well? Like, the minute they say action, she just turns on. And I love that about her. So then for me, when I would go home and practice like my script, I'd be like, okay, how can I do this? I saw that April was doing it this way. And like, and she told me that I should just, try to envision my character's stories and integrate that, and all these little tips that she gave me. And it was so helpful. And then on top of that, we would just talk about our lives, really, when we weren't filming or anything, or when either of us were shooting our scenes, we would just be sitting down and eating, drinking, and just talking about each other's life, not drinking alcohol. That would be after but but no, yeah. So it was really fun. It was such a family dynamic with those people. And I think that's also why I am just so obsessed and passionate about this film. Because I mean, as you know, the film has been going on for how many years now, right? To get to where we are now, but yet people are still here. And we're choosing, we have the option to leave, but most of us, if not all, we're still choosing to stay in this family, and because we believe in the film so much, you know, not just because, oh, we're in a movie, but because of the people that are a part of it, like Pat, like the director, the production, who worked their asses off day and night, the cast, and, you know, the heart that people put into this film. And everyone is just, there's a bigger reason to why they're doing this film, why they're a part of this film, is what made me fall in love with the film even more, you know, and being a part of this group, this Lumpia family. So yeah, it's definitely a once in a lifetime. And if you guys have not seen it, you guys have to see it, because it's a cool film. Yeah, it's a cool film. And I'm not even a nerd like that, but I'm like it's just so badass. And I can see behind you, like, you are such a nerd. Like, I love that. A lot of my friends are too. Yeah. And so, you know, to be part of this new world also while still being me, right? Like we said, is what the important part is. It's amazing. Like, I love learning about other things that's out there that exist, you know? So it's very, very cool.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So in regards to that, so once it was finally getting ready to put out to the people, I think it debuted at the Hawaiian Independent Film Festival, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right before that is when I connected with Pat, and I got to be one of the first to check it out. And one of the things I pointed out to him was, yo, man, I'm enjoying this film, but there's a character that I really dig. I don't know anything about her, but she looks familiar. She plays Gemini. And I was like, I think you should do something with that. And lo and behold, you know, we would, you know, again, talk more about it. And now here you are. And so as of the launch of this particular interview, Gemini is now a comic book. And so I'm so excited for you. And here again, as I said earlier, you now become a superhero, who knows? But now you're a comic book character, homie. You're in this amazing film, and now you're this
so
comic book character.
insane.
And so let's talk on that real quick. You're now a comic book character, homie. What do you think about that? Shout out to all the amazing artists. We've had them all on, and just again, all the love to Pat and everybody with the squad. But now, hey, you can show this film, but now you can show this comic book of you, Katrina.
It is so insane. I mean, it's not really me, right? It's Gemini. It's Gemini's character. Yes. And Gemini is just such a badass. And I get what you mean, because even when I first watched the film, right, you're watching it as the character. I'm not really like, oh, it's me. And even then in the film, and how when I would play the role, it was like, there has to be a backstory to this, right? She had to have gone through something to become who she is now, right? Like, why is she like this? Why is she doing this? Who is she, right? Like, why is she so powerful and important, right? And so, you know, I don't want to spill too much about the comic, but, you know, when I got the chance, because just like you were kind of talking about, like, ooh, we should do like a spinoff with Gemini, like I'm sure people, and we always got that feedback, like, is there more to her? Is there more to Gemini? So when I read the comic, I was just like blown away by, you know, the whole backstory that they decided to create with Gemini's character, because it's starting to make so much more sense. And I feel like in a lot of films, there are a lot of people who tend to fall in love or feel bad. I guess not fall in love like lust, but like just fall in love with the villain because they want to know more about them, right? Because you're not just bad, right? There's a reason to it. Or maybe like there's a reason to why you're acting that way, but you don't want to act that way, really, right? So the comic book is just crazy. First of all, to say that I'm a freaking comic book, I'm in a comic book, what the hell? Like, honestly, I want to like slap myself in the face, right? Because it's like, what? Like, I never would have thought that. Like, I get all giddy and like, what's the word? Like, hella giggle, like just to be like, fuck, like I was in a comic book. Like, that's forever. That shit is printed in paper and people will read it. And like, that's forever, right? There's like, that's why people collect different comic books, right? So I'm just like, oh my God. And then DC, Marvel, like all those, and then the Funko toys, like, what the fuck? Like, are we in that? Like, are we, what the hell? Like, are we part of that whole thing? You know, like Comic-Con, WonderCon, like, wow. Like, this is a whole other, like, I don't know, success that I've achieved because like not many people can say I'm in a comic book, right?
Yeah,
like they can
exactly.
say I act, I did this, which is amazing, but like, oh yeah, I was in a comic book. Just slowly just slide that in there, you know? Like, yeah, I'm in a comic book.
I love it. I
Just
love
drop. And shout out to all the amazing, super incredibly talented artists who work on the comics and all the different versions, the covers, all of that, the artwork that goes into it, and just the thought process of like the story. Oh my God, I don't know how they do it. Like it's just like how, you know? But
Yeah.
oh man, I'm getting excited. I feel like I'm like starting to sweat because yeah, the comic book. You're the first person to really like bring it up with me. Like the comic book. Like, you know,
Yeah,
everyone's like, oh, how
homie.
does it feel to be in a film? All that, which, you know, I've answered that so many times and I've soaked into that. I've absorbed that and it feels amazing. But now it's like you're in a comic book. Like, how does that feel? It's like I'm still soaking it in. I'm still trying to grasp and accept that. You know, I just read it. I just read that whole volume. I was just like, what? Like, that's crazy. Gemini's crazy. Her story is just like, it's something else, man. Like, I don't want to spill too much about it. I don't know how much I can say. I don't want Pat to like hit me
Yeah,
up
we don't
and
want
be
Pat
like,
because Pat is
why
like,
did you say
yeah.
that? But yeah, I literally asked him to, I was like, earlier, I was like, hey, Pat, can I bring up the comic book? Because it's just so cool. Like, I want to talk about it. He was like, well, it hasn't really been released, but it's kind of going to be released. And like, maybe he'll bring it up and just say, I don't know, just go along with how much he talks about it. And I was like, okay. But yeah, so it's really cool to talk about it my first time because the feeling is, oh my God, it's insane. It's insane.
I love it.
God.
So I'm just going to say this because like you said, we want to be careful with Pat because we love Pat. I'm super excited. And girl, yes, you're now part of the amazing comic book pop culture lexicon. And even more important, the Filipino representation within comic book and pop culture, which is so beautiful. And I'm so hype about it. And all the flowers to you on that. And yeah, because one of the things I want to say is so like I brought that up when I first saw the film, and then when the comics started dropping. I'm all about your character, and we did an interview. Check out a previous episode, y'all that are watching this right now. I did an interview with the whole post-Lude Lumpia with a Vengeance comic number 3, and Pat and all the whole squad was up and on, and we are now branching off to the Gemini comic, which Katrina is the embodiment of as an alternate character in the universe. And then hopefully soon, we discussed that there's going to be a deep fried universe coming on. And I cannot say yes or no that I'll be making my return to comic books, helping Pat write a few things. So, you heard a little nugget right now.
It should be a yes.
And one of the characters I would like to, maybe dabble with is Gemini. So I'm just going to put that out there. To the universe,
dude, that would be, oh my God, that'd be so dope. Let's do it.
Yes. So,
my God, I cannot
I'm
wait.
Put those little nuggets out there into the universe right now.
Just throw that out, manifest.
Hell yeah. So we're celebrating this big win with Gemini comic and everything else that is your journey. This has been a snapshot right now of everything you've done this far. But what does Katrina also have in mind? I know, again, as I said earlier, you're the uni-nurse. You're pageant and you got a nursing. Tell me maybe a little bit, how did you get into nursing? Because there's kind of a cultural stereotype, if you will. So you went back into like a cultural stereotype.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Growing up, I always did take care of my family. Like we always take care of each other. Obviously, one person's sick and all of that. And then, when I moved in with my boyfriend, and he's a nurse too, and everyone in my family, obviously, there's a lot of people who are nurses. But then I started realizing, it was especially during the pandemic, actually, where I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of want to do something greater because after I got back from the Philippines, I forgot to mention when I went back to college, it was business that I was taking because I was like, I want to have my own business. Like I've made so many connections that I would one day want to have my own business. So I was like, I was actually only a few classes left before I was going to get my degree in business administration. And then during the pandemic, my mind just kind of flipped because I went through I was getting anxiety, just like I feel like a lot of people during the pandemic, they were, dealing with anxiety and, they were scared. And I started, just really reevaluating everything that was going on in my life. And I wanted something greater, I guess. And in a sense, for me, it was like, well, shit, I've been seeing all over the news, like nurses are just having such a tough time right now. And all these people who are getting sick and who need our help and all these things. And I was just like, why don't I just do nursing? Like, why? Like, I want to help. Like, I want to do something, you know, I want to do something that's greater than who I am, you know, and just be of service to others. Like, so literally that I flipped instantly. I switched my major, finished all my prereqs within a year for nursing. And then it was right before I was able to join Nursing Service Philippines. And even while I was in the Philippines, I started applying to nursing programs. But yeah, from there, when I worked at a med spa also, where I just saw the beauty of aesthetics. And then I saw how nursing can be like, you're on the floor one day at a hospital, but you can also be at an aesthetic med spa the next, right? Making people feel beautiful, helping people out and helping them get better. It's like a win-win, right? So I still get the best of both worlds. Again, I found something that can still, you know, correlate back to who I am as a person and what I stand for. So for me, you know, nursing is that's my next journey. That's my next path. And I was very grateful to get into the program my first try, which community college. So again, no debt.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just very proud because I'm given this next journey in my life that I'm like embarking on to where I can still touch lives and still be who I am. You're missing the nurse.
I absolutely love that. That is so awesome. That is where you have now become a superhero from the supervillain, if you will. Because I think in service to the people and service to the community is one of the best things you can do. And we're blessed to be able to do that and to give back. And I just think that's absolutely amazing and inspiring. Shout out to you, Katrina. I love that. But so you're gonna be the uni-nurse, you know, still have your foot somewhere in the pageant realm. I'm still sure you got that, and you know, and you're gonna be doing the nursing, but also, you know, to leave out, can we see maybe acting? Do you still have the little bit of the acting bug? Do you think you'll be dabbling back with that at all?
If time permits, I would love to. I enjoyed acting because it gives me a chance to play someone else. You know, I think that's the fun of it, right? It's you get to create a whole other persona, right? And then come at the end of the day, you're so you. But when you shoot, it's just like you're creating this world, and like you're using your creativity, and it's just fun. It keeps you not complacent,
there
right?
We go.
Because acting, you can't be complacent. You're playing different people all the time. So yeah, if it permits, and you know, there's something out there, I would love to. So throwing that out.
All right, well, that's good to know because, like I said, your boy's a filmmaker, and you know, I'm working with Pat now. We got a couple things in the pipeline. I'd love to see, you know, you come through, you know, especially on one of my sets. So we'll put that in
I would
first.
see you work on anything related with Gemini or the Lumpia fam, or just you getting back into that world. That's
Definitely.
crazy. Too late.
I love it. I love it. Well, Katrina, this has been so amazing. I have one last question because this is the NRW. As you see the nerd stuff behind me, it's the NRW where nerds rule the world. What is the nerdiest thing? If you were to give a TED talk on something, what is something you could give a really nerdy TED talk on that people don't exactly know right now about you? And I know you're everywhere and you've been out there and you speak on a lot of things, but what is something that you really haven't shared that you could probably really go in on? Like you mentioned Bridgerton, like, so did you watch the first season or whatever? But you already mentioned Bridgerton, so I'm going to take that off. We're going to scratch that off the list. But what is something that, like, whether it's a TV show or is it maybe even like electronics? I've had a shout out to my boy Rodney Salinas, who can get into all about like politics. I had another friend who could talk about tax law. You know what? It could be anything, you know, in the world. But what could you give a TED talk on
that people wouldn't really know about me? I guess.
Yeah.
It'd probably be maybe two things. Would be probably horror films.
Okay. Big into horror films. Yeah.
Or what was that?
Yeah, you're big into horror films. I remember that.
Horror films, because I can go on, and I remember actually I did a shoot like last week, and my Uber driver from LA to here in Norwalk, it was like an hour and a half because of traffic. We were talking about different horror films, literally the whole drive of what we liked, what we didn't like, and like how they could have done it better, whatever. Like I just love horror films. But not only that, I mean, I love my trash shows, which are just reality shows.
Okay,
and,
all right.
For me, there's so many things going on in my life, you know, from like family to the social media stuff, the acting, the nursing, all of that. For me, I'm such an introvert that people don't understand. I am such a homebody. And people think that like, oh, like she does this and that, and she's so loud and all the time. She's so like bubbly. I am the biggest homebody. And when I am at home, I just want to chill and watch reality shows, if not horror movies. Like that's just like me relaxing, and documentaries, like crime documentaries, like ice cream, you know, coffee, ice cream, and brownies. My go-to. Horror movies, reality TV, and crime documentaries, like the gory, weird shit. Like that's the shit. Like start any conversation with me, we can go all night. All the different murders, all the different criminals that there's been, all the crazy cases that made it to like international TV. Like, yeah, that's me.
Okay, I love that. There we go. That's amazing. So I'm gonna have to hit you up on some of this. We're gonna have to keep connected as you continue on with your amazing journey. Again, I want to show you love and light, you know, because you're still writing your journey right now. So let's definitely have you back through. One last thing is, you know, for people that want to follow you, you know, and you still give those amazing pearls of wisdom, you know, about your experiences through the socials. Let's throw out those socials so people can check you out.
I do. So my Instagram is at Katrina_Dimaranan, and my TikTok's the same thing, at Katrina Dimaranan. You guys can follow me there on my stories, on my posts, on my TikToks. There's random stuff about me, and that's where you really get to see who I am, who Katrina is, not just from what you see on TV or in photos, because man, you'll be surprised by who I really am if you don't know me yet.
And there's nothing wrong with that. We all got different facets to our personalities. I love it. There you go. I love it. Katrina, mahal kita, salamat. Thank you so much. This was amazing. I love it, y'all. I'm gonna put all of her information in the description below. Y'all, please give her some love. Give her the follows. Give her subscribes. I'm gonna be doing it. I hope to stay in touch with Katrina so we can talk about horror shows and just our journeys and just giving back to the people, because it's so important.
You have been one of my favorite interviews.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
All the time. I really, honestly, genuinely do not. So I appreciate you as a person and what you stand for and who you are, and your vibes is just out of this world. So keep shining light on people, and thank you again so much for this wonderful interview that I really just did not to be this easy and just be this fun and so real. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, my heart. Salamat. Appreciate it. Y'all, Katrina Dimaranan, give her all the love. Give her the follows. It's your boy, the legend, Kuya P. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and IG. And of course, here at ShoPowSho and at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. We'll see y'all next time on the ShoPowSho. All right. Yo.
what's up, you guys? It's Katrina Dimaranan, your Miss Universe Philippines Tourism 2021, also playing Gemini in the new Lumpia movie. And I will be tuning in with Kuya P on the ShoPowSho. Can't wait for you guys to tune in and hear everything from my life to the film to the comic book. And of course, WinterCon, and just talking everything Filipino, comic, and all love. I will see you guys there. Take care and God bless. What my Filipino heritage means to me is inspiring our people to become who and what they want to be in life and to not let others get in their way and dim their light. And Filipino heritage to me is strength and family, food and love.
I love it.